Rated mature audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised.
All right, guys. Welcome to tonight's podcast. Welcome. Happy Monday. Happy Monday, guys. It's been a hell of a weekend. I can tell you right now. It's been one of those weekends for me. Very restless, tired. Just I don't know. Maybe it's the change of the weather here in Georgia. I'm not sure. I mean, one minute it's like in the 60s and 70s, then the next it's like in the 50s, and then it goes down to the 40s and 30s. It's like, holy shit, man. I mean, talk about bipolar weather, right? I'm telling you guys, it's crazy. It's just unbelievably crazy of what's just going on in the country. I don't know where you're tuning me into, but wherever you are, I hope the weather there is just as more pleasant as it is than it is here. But tonight's podcast, guys, tonight's going to be a violence 2021 backdrop under Biden. That's what we're naming the podcast episode tonight. Nearly reaching episode 200. We're almost there, guys. About another, 15, 16 more episodes. We should be there. But we're nearing it as we're closing up on season 2 here of the Patriot Angle podcast. We are wrapping up season 2. Season 3 will begin in January. I do not know a date for that first episode of season 3, but we will let you know as we know more about that. But joining us today, guys, I'm going to have a special caller joining us today. Scott. He is a corrections officer. He will be on the show tonight. We're going to get some insights on how he just views the violence in America and, his opinions. And we're just going to get into a lot of political stuff, guys, a lot of political stuff. It's always a privilege and an honor to have America's finest, on Law and Order on the podcast here. This is a first, guys. I never had a correction officer, a man of Law and Order on my show. And it's very interesting because I'd like to get his analysis and his insights on what he sees on his everyday duties. With more of that, guys, join us here. We'll be right back, guys. You're not going to want to miss this. Patriot Unfiltered Raw. Broadcasting from the Big Peach of Atlanta, Georgia. A show unfiltered, unscripted, raw. The Patriot Angle Podcast. Hello, welcome to the Patriot Angle Podcast. Welcome, my friend. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing fine, thank you. Yourself?
I'm doing fine. A little chilly here in Georgia. I reside in Georgia here, and the temperature changes here. I mean, it's bipolar, man. 1 minute it's 70 degrees, the next minute it's like 50. It doesn't know what it wants to do. You know what I mean?
I hear that.
But welcome to the podcast. Tonight we're going to talk about the violence spikes across America, and the differences between this Biden administration and this Trump, the previous administration. I want to get your insights on it, your analysis, because we do know that you are in Law and Order, right? Correct?
Yes, I
am. Did you want to say exactly like what you do, if you're comfortable with that, or?
Well, first off, I have to give you a disclaimer.
I understand. Yeah, for privacy issues, folks. Yes, absolutely.
The views and opinions that I am about to say are of my own.
Correct.
In no way do they reflect my employer.
Sure.
They do not reflect their views and opinion.
Sure.
But I am a correctional officer. I've been doing it for 8 years. I did it for 3 years in another state. Then I came to this state, and I've been doing it for 5 years up here. Excuse me. I have 8 years up here, so that'd be 11 years altogether.
Wow. And you know, let me say one thing first, folks, before Scott goes further. I want to applaud you, sir. God bless you for what you do. I always support my my first responders, whether they're firemen, police officers, correctional officers, and even our great military, because you guys are on the front lines of America's defense. I don't know if you guys know that, but you are. You know, without you guys, I mean, we would be a damn near a third world nation, if you think about it. You know what I mean?
You got that right.
And speaking of a third world nation, Scott, this country is leading to a third world nation under this administration. I never want to talk bad about America, because I love America. I'm a great patriot. I love this country. I love everything for what it stands for. But you know, with all due respect, the law and order in this country, it's not there. I'm clearly seeing it under this president. It's not there. It really isn't.
Nope.
I mean, go ahead. I'm sorry.
With all the police being assassinated, with all the riots and murders that are happening, I am tired of seeing my country ripped apart.
Yeah.
Lady Liberty has been raped so many times under this administration. Things need to change.
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt. I mean, you know, I see it every single day here in Georgia. You know, Georgia, you know, with, you know, I always seen Georgia as a conservative state, you know, when I was younger.
Just a second.
Yeah, the dog barking. Yeah.
Mama's home.
Uh-oh.
No.
All right, guys, we're you know, sorry about that. You know, hey, that's what makes this podcast unfiltered and unscripted. Scott joining us tonight here. Had his German Shepherds, I guess, in the background. That good old guard dog, so to speak, huh?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah. You know, I used to have a German Shepherd myself about a few years ago, and he got real sick, and, you know, sadly, we had to put him down, you know what I mean? But So with that being said, Scott, I want to move along with this Black Lives Matter, this riots. You know, a lot of people are starting to label them as domestic terrorists, but if you say that, you know, you get they get offensive, and they're like, no, we're similar to the Black Panthers from the 1970s. I mean, do you see that as a similarity to the Black Panthers from the 70s and 60s?
No.
No? Okay.
The Black Panthers, I don't know that much about them, but I don't. Oh, how do I want to say this? They didn't do as much as BLM is doing, or Antifa.
Right.
As in the murdering. I mean, they weren't going out and killing cops for fun. They weren't going out and killing people for fun.
Yeah, I mean, because I mean, these folks, these Black Lives Matter, BLM, you know, they don't really stand by the actual name Black Lives Matter, because every single time, you know, that they're doing this type of activity, I mean, are they really behind the actual black community? No, because if you go back last summer with the, you know, the very touching, sensitive story of what had happened last year, there was no there was nothing behind that, nothing behind it at all. To be honest with you, Scott, I think what Black Lives Matter is really doing is they're just doing this for a media, just a 5-minute fame Instagram, Facebook type of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In
my line, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't see similarities. I want to kind of close it as that. I don't see similarities between Black Lives Matter and Black Panthers. A lot of people are like, oh yeah, there's a lot of similarities. Well, if you look at it, the Black Panthers were basically protesting because they didn't like to have the black man on the front lines during the Vietnam Wars and other events during that time frame. That's the real reason why the Black Panthers were created in the 60s and early 70s. Well,
exactly.
These Black Lives Matter, you call them as they are. They're nothing but, and you know what? I'm not afraid to say this. They're nothing but common thugs, and they should all be incarcerated for high crimes against innocent people in inner cities, because that's usually they're targeting inner cities. They should be arrested. They should be charged for looting and property damage.
But if you arrest them, you'll have the vice president bail them out with the $34 million she raised to bail out all them worthless individuals.
Yeah.
One thing I learned, if you have to put a color in front of the words "Lives Matter," you're a racist piece of shit.
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
In my line of work, I have to be colorblind. And I am. I am not racist. I am not a white supremacist. We all bleed the same color.
We all bleed the color red, and, that's... It is what it is. I mean, all lives matter. And don't get me started with that. If you say all lives matter, the media, all the big names, in the media, CNN, Crooked News Network, I call them, oh God, they're like, oh, you're a racist and you're a white supremacist, and why are you saying that? You're showing forms of bigotry and this and that. No. Because like you said, Scott, you put a color in front of Lives Matter, you, my friend, are the one that's racist, not the person that's trying to correct you. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
In order to save this country, Scott, we have to reform from what this country was originally designed to be. The original 4 founding fathers designed this country to be small government, and the government by the people, for the people.
Exactly.
It's the other way around. Like, you look at Donald Trump a couple of years ago. I don't have the exact date. I'll have to get it. But I remember him, I think it was like during the summertime, where he said that you should not worship the government. You should worship the Almighty God.
Exactly.
And what do we have right now? We have a man that's incoherent. He's not coherent whatsoever. Doesn't even know what the damn day of the week is half the time. Got to be reminded by his handlers, his staff members, and even his press secretary at times where he's going to be, where he has to stand. They have to freaking bring the teleprompter fucking less than 6 inches from his face because he can't even read it. That's 2 feet away. I mean, this is our president. It's terrible.
When you say press secretary, are you talking about Peppermint Patty?
Oh yeah, Peppermint Patty. Yes, good friends over there on Dan Bongino. I don't know if you tune him in. He's a good podcast host. I like Bongino because, I mean, he comes from exactly what he used to do. I mean, he's a former Secret Service member, a former cop of New York City, and I think he was the one that actually started the whole Peppermint Patty thing. Yeah, but But, I mean, the violence today in this country, Scott, it's terrible. It has to end. I mean, we're seeing it on all angles. We're seeing it on the border. I mean, our border is wide the fuck open, and it's terrible.
Again, Biden and his whole administration need to be tried for treason.
Oh, sure.
He gave the Taliban or ISIS $80 million in weaponry.
Yep.
He provided weapons to our enemies.
Yeah.
He let our country be overrun by migrants.
Yep. Still is.
Those are two treasonous offenses. Now, do you want us to mandate a vaccine that's not even a vaccine?
No.
If I'm medically impaired.
Okay.
So if I say this wrong, I apologize, but you'll get the understanding.
Oh, yeah, I understand.
Smallpox, mumps, measles, they had vaccines for them, and they were eradicated.
Sure.
You got the vaccine, you didn't have to worry about getting whatever.
Yep.
This zombie shot, you can still get the COVID, you can still pass the COVID.
Right.
It's not a vaccine. They just labeled it a vaccine to make it sound, what's the verbiage I'm looking for? Not important. Necessary.
Pretty much. I mean, all this is, Scott, is basically it's an experimental drug that, by the way, you can actually look this up, folks, that the CDC even announced on their website that this drug, this vaccine, has not been FDA approved yet. But Basement Joe, right, Joe Manchin there at the White House said, folks, you have to get the shot. It's been FDA approved. No, it has not been FDA approved. He's lying and lying over and over and over. This vaccine, Scott, this is not FDA approved. But they clearly say that it's been approved. So, I mean, who's to believe who? You know what I mean?
Yeah, you can't believe anything.
And
the government's the way they're trying to push it.
Yeah, and talking about tyranny in this country at historic highs, there are people now, and if this is not tyranny, I don't know what is, okay? That if you do not get a vaccine, some companies will actually fire you and terminate you from your position or your post. They'll just, you got to go because you didn't get the vaccine. Or if you don't want to get the vaccine, you have to do weekly tests where you have to stick a very uncomfortable swab up your nose several times a week. Scott is, I don't know.
That's just it. I'm unvaccinated.
Your body, your choice.
True blood.
And that's your body, your choice, right? I mean,
exactly.
I
will not get vaccinated. Now, this Fauci, if they want us to get tested every other day or whatever it is,
yeah,
him, the NIH should have to pay for it.
Sure.
It's because of them funding that lab in Wuhan that caused this epidemic, and it's China's fault for letting it get out and lying to us, saying it was people eating bats, whatever. Ozzy Osbourne ate a bat, and
yeah, well, he
didn't get COVID.
he's a little off, but that's not from the bats. That's from the drugs and the alcohol over the years, but
right. But and also, I believe Fauci, the NIH, should be tried for mass murder.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah, Scott, I think, as we're approaching the midterms, I think the Democrats, they're scared. They know what's going to happen. Nancy Pelosi there in San Francisco Valley, I call it, San Francisco, she should be ashamed of herself, not only for what's going on in this country, but her own district. Do you know, folks, that San Francisco now has the highest homeless rate in the entire country? It was New York for several years, several decades. But there are less homeless people, Scott, in New York compared to San Francisco. And what does Ice Cream Pelosi do over there in San Francisco? Absolutely nothing. She just keeps on eating her $20,000 gelatos every single day, And
collecting our tax money.
Exactly, collecting the tax money, where that tax money, I would much rather go to the homeless people in San Francisco, help them, because the majority of homeless people in San Francisco are suffering from high levels of mental illness. It's terrible. I can't say anything bad about them because they kind of did it to themselves, Scott, but in a way, let's help them. Put them in correct facilities. Get them off the streets, and there goes your homeless problem. Problem solved. What does Joe Biden do? Does he have any plan? No. His plan is we need to build back better. No. You're bankrupt in this country, Joe. You're sending us back 50, hundreds, and 200s of years.
Sad thing is, excuse me. You can't march on Washington, D.C. because they'll call it insurrection.
Yeah.
And they'll have a heyday with it. And what really pisses me off is when Trump was in office, they were always trying to impeach him from day one.
Oh, they were trying to impeach him, Scott, because they didn't like him,
Exactly. Wasting taxpayers' money.
Yeah.
That's all they were doing.
Yeah.
Now, what the taxpayers need to do in this country, may I...
Yeah, go ahead. The floor is yours. Go ahead.
Okay. Everybody that's listening, tell your friends, have your friends tell their friends, and have their friends tell their friends' friends. Get a hold of your W-4 form and go to your exemptions and claim 20 or claim exempt.
Oh, wow.
Stop paying taxes to the federal government. Do that for 3 months.
Wait.
Or better yet, do that for the whole year.
Wait, hold on. Let me stop. Let me stop you right there. Pause you right there. Scott, can they do that? Like constitutional, like with the rights and everything? I mean, are they able to do that? Because that seems like an IRS type of thing where they'll go after them. I mean, you have to pay your taxes, right? I mean, you don't pay your taxes, they're going to come after you and kind of lock you up.
Well, if you have 1 million people doing this, what are they going to do, lock us all up?
Yeah, that's true. They can't lock somebody. They can't lock the entire country up, because if they lock the entire country up, the country goes bankrupt, and then there goes your federal government,
Yeah, my thing is, you do that, and then you put money aside.
Yeah. That's
true. And then when it comes up time for taxes, tax time, you file your taxes, okay, you send the money in that you owe.
Yeah.
But with the way the gas prices are and the food prices are...
Oh, terrible.
You need that extra money.
What? Yeah.
It would be better than paying a corrupt government.
Scott, I couldn't agree more. I mean, this government is probably the most corrupted administration, not only in modern American history, but I think all of political American history. I mean, they said for what? The 4 years that Trump was in office, oh, he's corrupted, and he's a criminal, and this and that, and he's racist against black people, and he's this and that, and he's buddy with Putin and Kim Jong and everything. Well, hold on. Is he a criminal? Not that I know of. I don't see any criminal record under Trump, right? Then they try going after his lawyer, Giuliani. Oh, Giuliani is a mobster. What? God, where do you get this garbage from? Almost like a tabloid type of crap. It's.
There's that. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I do that from time to time. I get into it because I have such a passion in this stuff, and then, if I do cut you off, I do apologize. I'm originally from New York, so it's my nature. You know what I mean?
Brooklyn.
Queens, actually, Queens, New York.
Queens.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
But go ahead.
There's that old saying, keep your friends close, your enemies closer.
Right.
Now, I am not friends with the inmates that I deal with. However,
you have to be neutral. Right?
I have a good rapport with them.
Right.
That's, it's just like Trump. He had a good rapport with Putin. He had a good rapport with Kim Jong-un. That's the way you got to be.
That's a good thing, right? I would think.
But it's.
But Scott, isn't that a good thing? Like that Trump. He had a good relationship with Putin and Kim Jong, right? Isn't that a good thing? You want to have a good relationship, so there's no foreign threats or issues.
Exactly. Well, if you think about it, when Trump was in office, there were no wars.
Right.
The economy was good.
Yeah.
Unemployment was down.
Right.
The job market was there.
Yeah.
And our enemies were afraid of us.
Right.
That's what we want.
Yeah. That's what
makes this limp dick in office.
Yeah.
And now you got Russia invading the Ukraine.
Oh, God.
You got China trying to invade Taiwan.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
I do have to reiterate, I'm not anti-government and I'm not anti-tax.
Oh, neither am I.
I just wanted to get that out there.
Oh yeah, neither am I. I'm not anti-American, but what I'm seeing in this country, it's embarrassing. Like we were once on the world stage as the greatest country in the world, and sadly, Scott, it's not looking like that under this administration. Joe doesn't know whether it's coming or going. Like I mentioned earlier in the episode tonight, he's got to be reminded constantly. And it's terrible. Like you have world leaders right now that's looking at this president saying, like, God, I can imagine what they're saying, like just different things like, oh, we got this, right? He's not Trump. He's easily manipulated and he'll do what we want to do. Like you said before, this president has given the Taliban a huge Christmas gift in millions of taxpayer money in military equipment. We literally built their army over there. Literally built it. Who the hell leaves Tomahawk helicopters, stealth equipment that most Americans don't know about, right? Stuff that we don't even want our enemies to know about, right? Ammunition, guns, semiotic weaponry. Joe, it's like he did everything backwards, Scott. He took the military, right, and then left everything there. Who the hell does that?
An idiot.
That's like going to a crime scene, right? You do everything that you're supposed to do in a crime scene, right? You're supposed to investigate. I mean, I'm not law enforcement or anything, but I might be missing a couple steps. But, to my knowledge, right, you go to the crime scene, you get as much information as possible, you question the witnesses, right, and then you go from there. You don't do everything backwards. I mean, that's what Joe did everything backwards. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm laughing, but it's like one of those, like, what the fuck were you thinking, Joe? I mean,
that's just that he wasn't.
Ah, boy, I tell you. But we're coming.
Marines,
what's that?
13 Marines lost their lives because of this idiot.
And they shouldn't have. They shouldn't have. Scott. If it was Trump, oh my God, CNN, MSNBC, all the media news outlets out there, right?
Yep.
God, Anderson Cooper. I mean, all of them. They would be like literally Joe Bayar from The View, which I absolutely can't stand. But they would be like, oh my God, Trump killed 13 Marines. It's such a travesty. What did the media do when Biden did that? Absolutely nothing. There was silence on that issue. Terrible.
Well, you can thank Obama for the media the way it is with all the propaganda.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, news had to be truthful.
Yeah, and it's not truthful. There's so much corruption right now. And speaking of corruption, I just did, because we're going to be closing out here on the show in a few, but I just did a podcast episode a couple episodes back about media corruption with Chris Cuomo on his departure from CNN. And I mean, I knew this was happening. The guy, he should be in jail for what he did. I mean, that's a criminal offense if you ask me. Using your media sources to cover up your corrupted older brother as then a governor of New York. That's a jail sentence, I think. But what would they do? Would they do, Scott? Slapped on the wrist. If it was me. If it was a common person like me, I would have been in jail if I would have done that. Would have been in jail. It's terrible.
You got that right.
I'm telling you, Scott, money truly buys your way out of this society today. If you have money, you're saved in so many ways. It's terrible. The crimes that's going on in government today, with all the big names. Pelosi, Schumer, they're all criminals in my eye. They should all be locked up for treason.
No. Treason, there's one punishment for treason. I'm not going to say it.
Okay.
Because I don't want to have the FBI on my door.
Okay. Well, we understand. Yeah, we do understand. There has to be filtering, yes.
But they all need to be tried for treason.
Yeah.
And the punishment needs to be dealt with immediately.
Right.
And then their bank accounts. We bring everybody home. We tell everybody, if you're an American citizen, you got 2 weeks to get home.
Yeah.
Bring our troops home, close the borders. Every country we owe money to, well, let's see. We rebuilt your country after the war. Screw you. You need our troops? Fine, you're going to pay them.
Right.
Secure our borders. We'd be basically guns for hire. But get our country healed with the homeless. Well, I've seen too many 18-year-olds doing time, doing life for stupid shit.
It's terrible.
And it is. I have a plan that I would like to do, but it takes money to do something like that. But it would be going into these inner cities, getting the kids out of the neighborhoods, out of the gangs, taking them, bringing them to where I'm at.
Right.
Getting them in school, having them finish school. Then, once they graduate school, because they're in my program, they have to go in the military. It'll give them stability, it'll give them security, it'll give them a purpose, and when they get out, they'll have their whole life ahead of them to be successful.
Well, that almost sounds like a traditional rehab program in a way, but you added a lot more things to that that a traditional rehab program doesn't involve with. I think that's a tremendous idea. Have you thought about writing up a plan to your city council or your to the governor there or whatever? Have you thought about that? Because that sounds like a tremendous idea.
I went to the Chamber of Commerce because I wanted to get a grant.
Okay.
So I could buy certain things, like you get a hotel, so each one has their own room.
Yeah.
And then, I have to have a vehicle or whatever.
Right.
To take them shopping, but still, it's...
Well, it has to work because we have to figure out a better prison reform system in this country. Under Trump was in the beginning of the Prison Reform Act that he signed. It was going places, Scott, because I seen it. As a citizen of this country and a podcast host, I can tell you right now that Prison Reform Act that Trump was literally trying to create, it was literally being, he was creating it. It was working. You had less criminals, you had less crime, and it was truly working. Trump was saying, stop locking people up for smoking a little joint. Jeez, go after the hardcore criminals, the ones that are creating madness in the streets. Like the ones that are, raping our kids and our women, and go after those maniacs and those animals. Those people should be in jail. Stop going after petty crime. That just, what does it do? It fills up your prison system, and it creates just unnecessary shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I could tell you, like, I'm going to close it out here in about another 3-4 minutes, but I could tell you, I was down in Miami, Florida a year ago, talking to a buddy of mine that's a cop, and I won't say his name for privacy issues, but, he told me, he's like, Mike, you will not believe the jails in this city are nothing but just common day, just idiots. They get locked up for smoking a joint. They get bonded out for, like, usually it's like a, if it's their first offense, usually we do it's like a signature bond, right? And then like 2-3 days later, they're back in the jail system again. I was like, well, what does that do? He's like, it's flooding our jail system. Like, we run out of room because 80% of it is all petty crap. Like minor, like little drug offenses. I tell you.
Recidivism is a bitch.
I'm telling you, like, you just be glad that, you go to jail, you get fed, right, by taxpayers and all this, you get taken care of and stuff, You live in another country, Scott, third world country. Oh, shit, you go to do something small or something, shit, you might lose a finger or be, be beheaded or something,
Yeah, France, if you traffic drugs into their country, you are put to death.
I'm telling you, yeah. That's probably one of the highest problems that we have even in this country with, drugs coming over from Mexico and Guatemala. Under Trump, he was taking care of that. He says, you would not believe what comes in this country, folks. You have drugs and cartels and serious maniacs that want to do bodily harm to our people. And what is Biden doing? Come on in. It's just, God, terrible. And you know what they do, Scott? They it's called catch and release, right? Under Obama, right? You catch them, you release them, you give them a court date, a common sense immigrant. They're not stupid. What are they going to do? They're going to go hide out somewhere in their country, right? They're not going to come back for their court appearance in 2 weeks. Only the stupid ones will.
Or they'll catch one of Biden's jets to New York or Miami or Detroit or what other city? Chicago.
Yeah, Atlanta, all of them. Yeah, Dallas. Yeah, it's crazy stuff. But Scott, I'm going to close it out here. I do want to thank you for coming on the show. This is a first for me. It's always a privilege and an honor to have, America's finest, because you guys are truly on the front lines, and I appreciate everything that you do, even in these tough times of America. I mean, you guys are probably facing the most highest criticism in this country of what we're going through.
Amen to that.
Thank
you for having me.
Yeah.
I'd like to come back.
You're always welcome to come back anytime. Of course, if we have a slot open, because sometimes I fill the slots in, and it's hard. I've had some repeat guests on. PJ of Archangel Protective Intelligence, and he's awesome. I've had him on a couple times, and it's good to have repeat guests on, because you become more of I don't want to say, maybe like kind of similar to like a family member, you know what I mean? Like it's always great to have the repeat guests and the repeat people coming on, because you get their insights and they get your insights, and you can connect like that. And that's what I think, Scott, to be honest with you, I think that's what we need to do as a country. We need to connect to one another more. There's so much division and divideness in this country. It's terrible.
Yeah, people need to remember we bleed the same color.
And
our skin color doesn't define us. It's our attitude and our character that define who we are.
Amen to that, brother. And you know what? And I think that this whole policing in America really, really needs to be looked at a high level. Respect your police. Respect your law enforcement. Respect your border patrol. Respect your military, because, folks, those are the ones that truly keep you safe. And you need to stop criticizing, because not every cop is bad, right? Yeah, you have some bad apples in the batch, right? But you know what? Not every cop is bad. And we were seeing that last year, Scott. And, I think 2022 needs to come in with a better year. Respect your law enforcement. You know what I mean?
Yes, exactly.
Respect it. They're not hard asses. They're not out there to try to make your life a living hell in this. Because you know what? They wouldn't have to come to your house. They wouldn't have to come to your door. They're only doing their job. They don't know what the hell's going on until they get there. Of course, they're gonna go into defense mode, and they're because they want to know what's going on. Scott, these people, they're like, oh, police officers are bad. They're trying to arrest me. They're not trying to arrest you. They're trying to figure out what the hell's going on, right?
Yeah. Like you said, they're doing their job. That's all they're doing.
Exactly. And until people figure that out, you're always going to have the same mess that you're in, And
if you get pulled over by them, do what they say.
Exactly. Within
reason. If they tell you to bend over and, it's like, no. But just, license, registration, proof of insurance, boom.
Boom.
Done deal.
Boom. They're not harassing you. They're trying to figure out who you are. They need to identify you. You could be anybody. Shit, you could have killed somebody 5-10 minutes ago. They don't know. They're trying to isolate the situation to see what's going on.
Exactly.
Yeah. But Scott, it's been a privilege. It's been an honor. We're losing out of time here. I'm getting the red box here. But anyway, appreciate that. And you're always welcome to come back on the show.
Awesome.
All right, my friend. You be safe out there, okay?
You too. Thank you.
All right. Take it easy.
All right. You too.
All right, guys. You just heard Scott, a current correctional officer, joining the show today. Always a privilege and an honor to have America's finest on the show. Guys, if you want to tune into this current episode, I hope you're listening to what on one of our three platforms, whether it's Spotify, Google, or Apple. Okay, you can also tune into our past episodes on those three, either one of those three platforms. Follow me on Facebook, the Patriot Angle Podcast, as well as Instagram. You can also join our new group page on Facebook. Patriot Unfiltered Nation. It's growing by the margin, guys. You're going to want to check that out. We got low following on it, but it's only been available for like about a month now. So join us, guys. Also, you can view all my content on our website, patriotanglepodcast.com, as well as our merchandise page. You want to get some merchandise, right? You want to show that liberal. You want to show that that radical left nut job, right? Your patriotic views. Head over to patriotunfiltered.com. Again, patriotunfiltered.com. Be that Patriot Unfiltered person. With that being said, guys, thank you for tuning in to today's podcast. Hope to see you on the next one. Patriot Unfiltered.
You just heard an episode of the Patriot Angle Podcast, an Anchor platform.